Hello all, I wanted to tell you guys about my motorcycle safety course experience. I ended up getting my license. The whole purpose of doing all of this is because originally I was riding a scooter. It was an e-scooter that kind of looked like a mini like Vespa almost, but was not street legal, and I wanted something to go faster. I really wanted to not be so limited by the fact that I was based off a battery, but I still wanted something that wouldn't, weigh at my money, because gas is expensive, and I also want to be environmentally friendly, especially here in California. There's a lot of pollution. So so at some point it went from me wanting to get a faster e-scooter to just getting my license altogether. That is when I discovered that you can have different types of motorcycle licenses. Originally, when I went to the MSF course, I signed up to test with a scooter, and they had the scooter and everything that I was going to test, and then I get there and somehow another guy ended up just really wanting it. And because he was there first, he had signed up first, they let him have it, which is okay, because it actually worked out for me in the end, because now I have my M1 license, meaning I can get any motorcycle I want as a result and ride those. So I ended up taking my test on a Honda Grom. I had actually gone through 3 bikes because of size and weight. I am 5'0", but I kind of fluctuate depending if I wear heels or not. Like if my boots or anything like that platformed. So I had gone through a Honda Rebel first, and the second one was like a Honda, I want to say it was another Rebel, but there was something wrong with the clutch. I guess the clutch was really busted, and they said that they just kind of threw out a joke since it was my first day testing with them, and then all of a sudden I'm having all these issues on the bike. And I'll be honest, because when I first got on that Honda on the Honda Rebel, because the scooter wasn't available, that's when I was like, you know what, I think I'm gonna reschedule. And it wouldn't have been fun, because the reschedule would have been a month and a half later, and it would have costed me as a result. So I was like, you know what, this guy just sat me down. He's like, you know what, I understand your fears, but something tells me that you should just try it. So, I took his word. Thank you, Joey. I owe him for that, because he really did convince me. And it wasn't even like he pressured me either. It was like a really genuine, like, hey, like I validate your concerns, but I also think it's just because this is new to you. So eventually he got me a second bike. So the first one was just too heavy. I couldn't get the kickstand up because it was just too heavy. The second one was the one with the clutch issue, but I toughed it out, and the next day, which was the exam day, they actually gave me a different bike altogether. So I had used 3 different bikes. So I was worried for the exam because, okay, I have to refamiliarize myself with this new bike. Thank God I did. After, I say it took me a good hour to refamiliarize myself with this different bike. And it was a Grom, so it was smaller. However, I don't know, I don't want to say it felt faster, but little bikes, I feel like you can really feel the wind more. Like you can really, like the speed sensation is just completely different. So that was that. So I had to practice everything. Thankfully, they gave us a full 3.5 hours to really practice everything we did the day before, along with some new things. But this time I didn't stall as much because I had a better clutch. We were also on a slope. So that was terrifying. Having to feel the bike, cause just kind of wanting to roll back. So I had to really, really get used to that clutch, that brake, and at the same time learning how to feed enough power to the throttle so that I don't stall while I'm waiting to like go through my courses, because I'm in line, at an angle, at a slope, behind others. So, yes, it was just quite the experience, which is just, again, something that I just never expected to put myself through, but I'm glad I toughed it out, also because it wasn't cheap. And I don't get a refund at all. Unless you, like, fail or you're sick, you can actually do, like, a free standby, but again, that's like a whole year that you're waiting, and you don't know if there's going to be any availability. So when it came to the first day of doing some of my stuff, I really was stalling. I was stalling so much that I was really the last one. I was the last one to kind of catch up. But when I did catch up, I was okay, in the sense, like, I was able to kind of go through the courses if I wasn't stalling. And it was nerve-wracking because I did get laughed at. Like, I could hear people just kind of laughing, like, oh, she's struggling, oh, she's dropping it, oh, she's not gonna do, like, I could hear people talk, okay, and there were a lot of people who were there with their couples, like, a lot of couples, a lot of friends, you know, supporting each other. And it wasn't until the next day that they were willing to, like, you know, talk to me a little more. So I heard them behind me, go, 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 go. And I just tell myself, you know what? You go. If the instructors think you're going too slow, they'll pull you aside. And you know what? They never did. And the only time they did was to show me how to properly use that clutch. But every time they saw that I was struggling, you know, they helped me. They would redirect me, and everything would be good. So I went from wanting to quit, from dropping the bike, stalling a bunch of times, to finally not stalling, being able to go through the slow weaves without dropping. And there's a trick to that too. It turns out when I passed my evaluation, the guy was like, okay, Charity, you passed and you had the lowest score. And I was scared at first. I'm like, what does the lowest score mean? Like, I'm like, oh, like, what did I do wrong so I can, you know, practice? And by the way, when you pass the MSF, doesn't mean you're ready. Like, you need to practice all the time. Look at Moto Jitsu. The guy is constantly practicing all the time. And he's a teacher. So even as a teacher, you still want to practice. Even the instructors at the MSF course, those guys, they take the test multiple times throughout the year. So they know what they're doing. And obviously, because they're teaching you. So, yeah. Apart from getting the lowest score, they're like, yep. The only thing is that I put my foot down before I completed my emergency stop. So it was just like a split second, but the concept is you want to stop. You really, really do want to stop before you put your foot down, because you know that could be your foot could be gone. You don't know. And then another thing is just looking through my turns, and then I was cornering a little too slow. To me, they said that wasn't really too much of an issue. Because obviously you want to corner slow, but it was just kind of one of those, it was just part of their instructions that I had to do it at a certain speed, and I didn't. I think I had just slowed down a little too much beforehand, but it wasn't anything like that was, I guess, pressing. So with those advanced classes that they offer, I'm going to definitely sign up. I just need to continue practicing all the basic maneuvers. I ended up buying some new cones so that if I ever see a parking lot, you know, I can go in and pop in. Which, by the way, I bought a scooter because I had no intentions of getting a motorcycle. I really just like my scooters. They're fun. They're just really fun to have them around the city, you know. So ride my scooter and take pictures and paint locations. So that's really what I want to do. Yeah, so that was my experience. Leading up to the course, I could not eat, I could not sleep. I was very scared. I was very nervous. I was also doing the online course leading up to it, which leads into the multiple choice test and all that. So, yep. it was really surreal when I passed, when I heard those words. I was like, there's no way. I was literally psyching myself so much leading up to it. And then, boom, 2 days, it's done. I waited a week, suffered for a week, not sleep. But you know what's interesting is that I actually felt the healthiest too, because I had been hydrating so much, and I was actually eating breakfast, allowing it to digest, and I also had to get up early, okay? These are long classes. I had to get there early, and I was there until like 4 or 5 in the afternoon, and I'm there before 10. So tons of daylight. I would say, oh, sunscreen. I even wore sunscreen, and I still got burned right here. Thankfully, I didn't get burned anywhere else, but the cheek, the nose, and I feel like I kind of have like a permanent sunburn now on my nose. It's like always rosy. I think it looks cute because it almost looks like makeup, so it doesn't bother me too much. But yeah, hopefully it's nothing serious. So yeah, that was my experience. And then I did the DMV once I got my certificate in the mail, because they had to mail it to me, which was one thing I was a little bummed out. I didn't get anything to like show that I had completed it. So I'm like, fudge, I only got the word that I passed, and then I had to wait for the rest of the stuff to come. So, yep. But that was my MSF experience. And I will definitely show you guys some of the practice that I was doing beforehand on my tiny little razor pocket. By the way, this razor pocket mod, you can buy it at Target. I bought mine online because I like the color. I'm actually selling it because I don't think I'm gonna, really use it. I don't need it. No. So I am painting a campfire forest. And when there's a forest and a campfire, there's certain tones that I like to see in the trees. And it's like a yellow, gold, green, brownish red.